Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in again. Firstly, before I get started on this week's video, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all the subscribers and non-subscribers who left comments specifically about the rails on the main frame. The problem was I couldn't bear looking at a beautifully finished bike and having the dents underneath, regardless of its history. It just wouldn't look right to me. So as I take you through the video, you will see the process in which I applied this material. So enjoy the video and I'll see you on the other side. We've got a lot of restoration work ahead of us. I've basically failed. So now you can see what this should start to look like. You can see there's still a few little scratches, and those unfortunately will show up. I'm not going to go any rougher than that. I'm going to stay at 600. Those are swirl marks that you take out with the next iteration of sandpaper. Good going compared to time I spent going by hand. This has been about 45 minutes, half an hour. Getting into those tight corners. That is very smooth. Today's a good day because I've just received the casing back from a local engineering company who could do a TIG weld for me. So let me show you what he's done. So if you remember seeing from the casing build, this was broken and that was broken. So what I asked him to do was just to replace the material and replace this to make it a little taller so that I can mill this off. You can see the tank has got lots of white, and what that white is actually the furry stuff of the polypropylene. Polypropylene is a very interesting polymer. It's a stuff we have that make up the hinges of a shampoo bottle, so you can open and close almost indefinitely and it won't break like styrene does. Problem is, when you sand that type of polymer, it's very, very difficult to actually get to removing any scratches. We're not far now. I've just noticed, and I won't be able to live with myself having gone this far. You can see there's some still original scratches. So I'm going to go back to 400 here, 600, 800, blah, 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 all the way back to 1500. And then I'm going to, instead of polishing all the way to 5000, I'm going to melt what I've got here to try and get rid of some of this white. I worked this one a little harder, although it doesn't look pretty. It's just shiny on different shiny spots. It's due to the heat gun, but we're looking for swirl marks really. That's the main thing. I mean, I've got enough of a challenge just trying to get this tank back again. The plastics are tired. I mean, it's been affected by just about everything, chemicals from inside and paint chemicals and oxidation from the outside. So I've got to set my expectations on this tank to see, you know, what is possible and what is not. I totally understand how rare these tanks are, so I'm just glad to have one that is acceptable, but it will determine the quality of this restoration, because the tank is such a major part of the bike. I'm going to maybe look at it at another time, see if I can get it better than that. But for now, I'm going to just try and get this sheen off it. If you see, I heated this with a heat gun, and it's there, but you can see it's very splotchy. And if you see this side, which I've done with a lamb's wool, I've got it a lot shinier. So let's see how we go with the other side and whether that's going to fit into the final look of the bike. But this has been a really interesting challenge. Very tough thing to do, is try and get rid of scratches. Low speed. One thing I don't think you see much of, and that is oil onto polypropylene plastic, especially tired plastic. Plastic that easily goes white, plastic that is destabilized through oxidization and has been peeled back down to color like this has. It doesn't mean to say that the plastic itself is in fantastic condition underneath. It's still affected by all the chemicals from the inside, and you can basically dry certain types of plastics out. Yes, you can. By oiling it, which is what plastic actually is, you're just basically feeding the plastic. The little that it can absorb will happily absorb that oil. As you can see here, if it was totally impervious to oil, it would just form globulates and roll off, but it's not. It's sitting nicely on the surface. So this is the second treatment I've done. Just leave it overnight, and then you just wipe it down. It'll continually absorb, but when you obviously get to polishing, you're going to have to give it a good clean. So, but by that stage, it would have already reimpregnated somewhat. I'm hoping that this tank will be as good as new by the time I get it onto the bike. So after I polished this, I realized that it should be more of a satin finish, so I'm just going to roughen this up. So that's better. It's not so gleamy. It's more like the original side. Good. One of the things that I looked at seriously was using an epoxy, which uses a kind of a metallized filler in it. Now, yes, there'll be some of you who would be rolling their eyes, but this specific type of epoxy is using a carbon fiber based matrix, and we understand the power and the strength of this particular material when it's mixed with a concoction of materials which make it super strong. In fact, I would even go as far as to say it's even stronger than the tubing that is on there now. I am going to put some form of skid plate underneath there, just to secure that area from any damage at all. I received this parcel today, and I just thought I would share with you. I don't smile enough, sorry. I'm a nice guy, I'm a happy guy, I just don't smile a lot on video, so sorry. When I received this parcel, I thought to myself, this will give me an opportunity to tell you kind of what my channel is about, because there are restoration channels on motorcycles, and then restoration channels. This particular channel, what makes it different is that I'm very reluctant to replace parts if I don't need to. Now, okay, that's fine, there's many that don't, but the joy of my restoration is to try and revive things. like bolts, if there's a bracket missing, and I'll try and make one, or I'll re-weld it, or I'll fix a hole, or re-thread something. I don't simply replace, and that has its own level of entertainment. And here is a typical case. So I could have bought a whole bunch of bits and pieces straight off from a shop or a Honda dealer, and it would have cost me, first of all, an arm and a leg. And I think part of the responsibility of a restorer who's sharing their restoration is to save money, surely, to make do with the tools that you have around you and restore. So that's kind of what I do. And here's a typical example I'll just show you here with the camera. Is this. And this is typical of me, these type of things. Now, looking at one of these online, this is a front brake hose cable holder that sits on the front of one of the forks, and the cable runs through it, and it's got a little plastic inner. Now, I found the inner somewhere in the bag of bits that came with the bike, but I never had this. So looking around for this thing, there was some ridiculous price for these things. And then I thought, should I just make one? It didn't look too difficult to make. Then I found all these recycling places that have stripped motorcycles. Now, these are original Honda parts. Now, where's a typical case? A Honda bolt is a bit like that. You see that hollow? Yes, you can buy many bolts, but if you really want to do an OEM restoration, you've got to buy these. Now, these things are very expensive, and you can go and buy the whole set and so on. They cost a few £100 for the whole kit, and your bike will look amazing. But I like a bit of patina on my bikes. I like them because I'm not pretending that the bike is new. The bike isn't new. If you look at the Goodsey video, I had many great comments coming back to me about how that Goodsey looked, because it wasn't concourse, but it was literally like a freshened up 1978 Mark I. And it looked authentic. It looks authentic. Nothing on there is fake or a modern replacement. They are from that bike. So these are from the same CR. This is a CR500, but it wouldn't know the difference because it's just a bolt. So with that, I'm going to go and clean all the stuff up, see how many parts that I've got. There seems to be quite a lot here. So I just wanted to share with you one of my values in my restoration channel that makes it extreme in a way, is that large productions like this are done from every single bolt, and every single nut is restored to some degree, and not to a concourse state, just within reason. I found the first bit of red on this frame. Honestly, I was starting to doubt. Oh, there's some red in there as well. I was really starting to doubt.
Is it enough air? Yeah?
Yeah.
It's good, no?
That's fine. Okay, 2 coats of primer. Looking good. So tomorrow we get on the first layers of color. So this is the quandary that we've got, is the serial number is very lightly stamped onto the head. Looking at photographs, it looks as if what Honda did was they would spray a very light mist of red over the decal, over the stamp, and then put in some black ink and then rub that off so you just had the number showing and then lacquer over the top of it. So that's what we're going to do here. You can see some of the things are quite surprising. All the spot welds from the welding of this bike was obviously done by hand. All looking very good. And now we're going to spray some lacquer, and I'm going to give it to my professional hitman. There we are. There's the final and finished spray job with the serial number just ghosted. How nicely those rails have come out. Just like new. Yeah. I'm not even sure which one I repaired. I think it's this one. So that's come out really well. Good. One big step. So got the color really spot on. As you can see against the tank, it's almost indistinguishable. I think it's perfect. Okay, it's a lovely 1987. It's going to look great. This is an OEM part and it's in really good condition. Right, let's get that cleaned up. That's better. These reeds look alright. I've got to say, it's a composite of some kind. No distortions. So I'll pop that back in again. Let me start with this one. This is going to be an interesting job. They couldn't get these bolts out, so they lumped it, a little bit of grit and some heat, and let's see how I go. Yep, that's in pretty good. So thinking overnight how I could get this out without damaging anything or welding this close to the Allen key bolt with aluminium. Mild steel will definitely pit the aluminium, which I don't want to do. And I have the original bolt. I thought I'd just weld something on to the end here, something rough to the broken bit that I tried yesterday. That just stripped that bolt. So next, what shall we do? That's it, snapped off. That ain't budging. Okay, the only way I'm going to even begin to get this out, I'm going to get the big gun out. I'm reluctant to do that though, although that does make sense to cut it out. Let me cut through the bolt. Yep, this is a tough one. I've cut through there. This is a lot of fun, but I'll get it. I'll get it. Just you wait and see. Now it's just this one. Hallelujah! And to make matters worse, these two chain guide bolts are snapped, so I'm going to have to grind these out. It was quite a tough job. I've got grime all over my face. A lot of lessons learnt. You start off with all the best options you can, like if there's thread or there's a bolt head, you don't want to destroy those if you can use those as leverage to open to take the bolt out. Just take these off, hope they don't give me any trouble, and then we're good to go. So so we can start to recondition these forks.